Sorry guys, mess with the lighting a little bit. There we go, that's better. Well, it's really bright. Need a happy medium. How is that? I don't want it to be too dark, but I don't want a bunch of light blur me out either. Okay, I'm gonna wait just a minute. Can't tell. I don't think anybody's on yet. Might be a little bit early. If anybody's on, would you do like a like or a comment so I know? And I'll wait till there's 1 or 2 people and I'll go ahead and get started. Jennifer, are you on yet? It doesn't look like anybody's on yet. Okay, let me know when you get on. Give me a like or a comment if you don't mind. Just say hi. I'll wait a little bit longer and then I'll just go ahead and start and then people can do the replay if they want before I get invaded by children. Oh, there you are. Okay, it looks like maybe there's 2 people on. Wait just a little bit longer, see if anybody else hops on. Just gonna add some people real quick. If I can. Oops. Sorry guys, I should have had my computer in here so I could multitask a little bit better. Oh shoot, I'm not gonna be able to add her yet. Hold on. Okay. Yes, I can see comments. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. for sake of time and not getting interrupted. I had this beautiful, I have to show you. Jennifer, you gotta check this out. I had this beautiful kimono on today because I was trying to encourage spring by dressing in spring like attire, and I'm freezing, so I'm back in a sweater. Gotta love weather in the Midwest in March. Never know. Yesterday was beautiful and sunny. Today is sunny, but it's chilly here in northwest Kansas. Yeah, I had to turn the heat back up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So tonight I'm going to talk about self-sabotage and go over some solutions for addressing self-sabotaging behaviors. So I first want to just give I should introduce myself first. Sorry. I am Meredith Ernzen. If you're new to this page, I am a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist, and I'm one of Jennifer Davis's team members. So I am here to talk about the mental health side of things and using oils to address mental health issues, or I guess mental health related issues would be a better way to put it. So I'm going to talk some, hi there, Michelle. I'm going to talk some on what self-sabotaging behaviors are. I think most people probably know what those things are. Give some examples. I'm going to cover some things for me that I've struggled with and probably will for a long time, but know what to do different. What I found that has worked so I don't continue those patterns. Identify some triggers, and then I'm going to give solutions for self-sabotage type behaviors. So I'm going to give the Psychology Today definition for self-sabotage, which is behavior that creates problems in your life and interferes with long-standing goals. Examples of this behavior would be procrastination, self-medication with drugs or alcohol, comfort eating, and forms of self-injury such as cutting. And those can go in more depth. I mean, obviously that's not all of the things that, I mean, I'm trying to think. Online shopping, pornography, sexual addiction, those type of things are also addictive type behaviors that would interfere with functioning at a safer, non-sabotaging level in your life. So, so if you think about some of those examples, so again, procrastination, self-medication, comfort eating, and forms of self-injury such as cutting and other behaviors that would cause negative impacts on your life. So for me, I'm just going to talk for just a minute on this. I don't want to take too much time, but for me, the main things that I've struggled with over my lifetime are procrastination, and sugar. So for me, procrastination looks like I'm getting ready to do my documentation for my therapy client. So I need to do paperwork. So I've got to submit my claims to insurance so I get paid for doing therapy. Well, so I'm on my computer obviously doing this. So I'm getting ready to type. I'm like, oh, I better check that email because I was waiting on an email. So then I'm checking that email. And then, oh yeah, I need to send a message to so-and-so. Oh, that message was on Facebook. So I've got to get on Facebook and get on Facebook Messenger. And so it kind of rabbit trails onto all these little paths that lead me to not getting my paperwork done. So for me, I've got to be very mindful, whether that is eliminating different apps from my phone and only making time for that when my work is done, or just setting some very clear boundaries where I'm like going to do my billing for an hour. So from 1 to 2, I'm going to do my billing. From 2 to 2:15, I'm going to return emails and phone calls. From 2:15 to 2:30, I'm going to respond to any comments or questions that have been posted on Facebook regarding anything that I've shared. So it's really being very mindful of that and purpose-driven so that I get my work done and so that I get paid for my job. So the other thing I mentioned was sugar. So for me, self-sabotage with sugar looks like most of the time it's late afternoon and I'm dragging. And I haven't I forgot to take my vitamins, or I haven't drank enough water, or I've eaten junk because I've been out and about and I haven't been home to prepare like a healthy meal, or haven't been eating the way I should that day, and so my sugar cravings spike, and so I give into something from a vending machine or something sugar filled that I know is just going to cause I really crash like 30 minutes after eating any significant amount of sugar, and I just feel awful. And so then I'm more tired, and I'm grouchy, and it affects me for a good 24 hours. So yes, what did Michelle say? Rabbit Chasers Anonymous. Yes, amen. Absolutely to that. So anyway, that's what it looks like for me. So if I'm sure lots of people can relate to those things. Social media, online shopping, that kind of stuff can be such a time suck. So, but they're necessary. I live, let's see, 45 minutes from the nearest Walmart, 2 hours from really any major shopping, like a Home Depot is 3 hours away. Costco, Sam's Club are about 2.5 to 3 hours. So online shopping is kind of a big part of our life so that we can keep up with things that we do need for our family of 5. And social media is something I use to market my business, and also stay connected with people because we do live in a very rural area and our family is not close. So I know that my grandmother and other family members and lots of friends keep up with us through that. So I'm not saying that those things are negative and you shouldn't engage in those. And sugar in moderation, I think, is a safe thing too, as long as you're using those boundaries and setting limits for yourself. So, keeping this all in mind, those are some self-sabotaging things I've engaged in over the years that I have to be very purposeful and mindful of every day. So, what I've noticed is there's triggers for people. When you self-sabotage, it's not just you're going about your day and everything's fine and, oh, I'm just going to do something really negative. I'm just going to do something like go drink a bottle of whiskey. That doesn't normally happen. People aren't just going to start drinking out of nowhere. They're not going to start self-medicating in that way, or the comfort eating just because. They're going to be triggered by something that's going to lead them to engage in those behaviors. And a lot of times there's a pretty significant root to that emotional issue. And so I'm going to kind of dive into some of that. So some of the triggers that people will notice once they stop and think about, okay, so what's leading me to do this? For me, like I said, giving into cravings is a big one for sugar. So making sure that I have healthy snacks with me, that I plan out whether I'm going to take a lunch with me if I'm not going to be home for lunch, or knowing a restaurant or even a gas station that might carry fruits and vegetables for snacks and that kind of thing. Just planning those things out so I don't get triggered to give into those cravings. And I'll also go into an oil that I use for that on a regular basis in a little bit too. The other one, I want to touch on the procrastination piece. The poor boundaries. So poor boundaries is another trigger. So if you don't set clear boundaries for yourself with your time, obviously it's not going to allow for proper nutrition. It's not going to allow for time with your family that you want. You're going to be spread too thin and you're going to be trying to multitask, and nobody's going to get 100% of you. So, your employer is not going to, your kids aren't, your spouse isn't, your friends aren't. You're going to be just juggling all those things, and nobody's going to be getting 100% your time and devotion. So setting those very clear boundaries, and for self-care. And self-care is kind of a trendy word right now, or trendy phrase. And for me, self-care is making sure that you're not just doing something that makes you feel good in the moment, but it's something that's deeper rooted and gives you back a sense of self and peace within you. So whether that's going for a massage to work through some physical pain that's deeper rooted with emotional pain, or it's going to talk to a therapist, going to your doctor because you're struggling with some health issues. It's making time for those things. So setting clear boundaries that will allow for you to engage in those things that you know are important in your life. So setting clear boundaries and giving into cravings are 2 triggers for me. Another one is negative people or negative relationships. You can identify those because you have dysfunctional patterns within those relationships. So if you realize that every time you talk to this one person, you are just absolutely exhausted, or that you went into the conversation feeling pretty good, like, oh, we're going to catch up, this is going to be great, and you just feel blah afterwards, or you avoid those people typically, or that person typically, or that social setting because you know that it's not a healthy environment and it causes you to engage in some of those other negative behaviors like the drugs or alcohol or other self-sabotaging things. Those are the dysfunctional patterns that I'm talking about. So a lot of families have dysfunctional patterns. I can identify one in our family is that we always eat junk when we get together. So for me, it's being mindful of eating something healthy beforehand so I don't give into those cravings. But it's a social thing for us. And I think it's that way for a lot of families and a lot of cultures, that when you get together, you share a meal together. Well, sometimes those foods aren't great for us. So I feel like that kind of ties two things in, but it also leads to conversations that I feel like probably could be healthier if everybody was feeling better and not giving into those things. But also, just negative people in general. You'll notice relationships that I think we've all had those relationships where it was one-sided, and we're always giving. Sorry, I'm trying not to say so much, and I feel like I'm saying it a lot. We're giving a lot of ourselves and a lot of our time to that relationship and maybe not getting the same in return as far as support goes. So those are the relationship patterns that can be very triggering to lead to self-sabotage. Unhealthy environments. If you hate your job, that can trigger you to self-sabotage. I mean, you could start the week, okay, it's a new week, fresh start, I'm gonna rock this week, and you get there and it's just not something you're passionate about, not something you feel purpose in, and just does not fill you up. By Wednesday, most people are just daydreaming and miserable if they don't really enjoy what they're doing, or if the environment they're in isn't an environment that they feel supported and nurtured in. So unhealthy environment is a trigger. Let's see, I touched on that one. Lack of sleep. So setting a very clear routine for yourself, because if you're staying up too late or you're getting up too early because you're not getting adequate sleep due to whatever your sleep routine may or may not be, you're going to notice that it's going to cause you to self-sabotage. You're just going to be more tired, and you're not going to be as mindful as you would be if you were properly rested. So you're going to make better decisions and better choices if your brain gets that reset and sleep. And I think, they recommend 8 to 10 hours, but I think everybody's a little bit different. So figuring out what works best for you. And there's different times in your life that's going to ebb and flow as far as how much or how little you can go on and do it efficiently and successfully. So being mindful of your sleep. Lack of exercise. So being mindful of, when can I go out and go for a walk? Can I do that during my lunch hour? Can I just go sit outside and get some vitamin D by sitting out on the patio, or fitting in a workout early in the day or later in the afternoon, or even just finding a class that works for your schedule. So not doing those things, not moving, not being active can be a trigger for self-sabotage, because you just don't feel as good. And then poor water intake. We all know that proper water intake is important for so many reasons. And emotional health is another one of those things. It's not just the physical aspect. They go hand in hand. So it's a whole body experience when you dehydrate yourself. It affects your physical health and your emotional. So let me go over those triggers again. So negative people or negative relationships, unhealthy environment, giving into cravings, poor boundaries, lack of sleep or inadequate sleep, lack of exercise, and poor water intake are the triggers I identified. Now I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to address self-sabotaging behaviors and how to prevent you from engaging in that type of thing. So I always recommend people start with one thing. Identify one thing that you want to start with, because I feel like that could be self-sabotage in itself if you're like, okay, I'm going to do all of this. That's great to be excited and passionate about it. However, again, I feel like it kind of sets you up for failure, because it's like, okay, I'm going to completely change everything I'm doing. That's really hard to do, because human beings get into routine and change is uncomfortable. So I always encourage people that I'm working with to try to identify just one thing you could change, because that feels more doable. And so if you feel like you can change one thing and your life's going to be that much better, it gives you hope back. And once you have hope back, it makes it so much easier to take on other things. So I always encourage you to identify one thing that you want to address first, because taking on too much can lead to failure in itself. Talk to a professional. So get to the root of what's going on. Maybe it's an emotional issue that you've identified that you have never worked through. or it's a relationship pattern that you need to address some change in. So going to a therapist or a counselor and addressing that with them, or seeking a physician's consultation if it's a physical medical issue that you know needs to be addressed that you've put off because it's uncomfortable or it's scary. Talking to a nutritionist about how you can change your diet so that you feel more energy, and you can identify maybe some things that are triggering as far as allergies go that can cause you to feel like crud. Seeking out a personal trainer to get you on track and create a plan that's specific for you. So those are some things talking to a professional can really help get you to the root of the problem, and then it helps better identify what is leading to the self-sabotaging behaviors itself. Start a healthy self-care routine. I touched on self-care, and like I said, it's not just going to get a pedicure. The pedicure's maybe going to be relaxing and nice and feel good and look pretty. However, it's not going to be a long-term thing. It's not going to really get to the root of anything and cause any long-term benefit for you. So self-care is doing something with more purpose for it. Let's see. So here are my solutions. So increase water intake. So I always have my water with me. I have 2 of these, so one's dirty. I've got one with me. So to increase your water intake, I encourage you to drink, I add a citrus oil to mine. I love grapefruit. I like lime, lemon, wild orange. Any of those oils are great for that because many people don't like just plain water. They want flavor. So it makes it just makes it taste better. So I drink more and keep up my intake. Grapefruit is a great one because not only does it taste good and help me encourage me to drink my water, but grapefruit itself addresses body shame, food issues, because it helps stabilize your metabolism as far as your blood. It helps regulate blood sugar. I've actually got it tabbed here, so let me read a couple more things here. So grapefruit addresses body shame, obsession with food or dieting, eating issues, distorted self-image, or hiding. Grapefruit teaches true respect and appreciation for one's physical body. It supports individuals who struggle to honor their body and are caught in patterns of mistreatment. So if you're struggling to get on track with your nutrition, your weight, that type of thing, blood sugar is an issue and it bottoms out in the middle of the afternoon and you're giving into stuff that you would normally want to be putting in your body, grapefruit's a great one to help with that. Where's my other one? So grapefruit is also in the other one I was going to mention. I was going to mention this. I said I would get back to this. Slim and Sassy for sugar cravings. So love Slim and Sassy. So it's got cinnamon, grapefruit. I'm trying to think. Sorry. I had these tabbed and I hear kids yelling and I'm getting distracted. Their dad's with them, so hopefully. He's also trying to cook. So, okay, so, and Slim and Sassy, it's good. Grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, ginger, and cinnamon. Not everybody loves the flavor of Slim and Sassy. I don't like it in my water. I can do a drop under my tongue, or you can take it in a veggie capsule. But it really helps address those sugar cravings hardcore. Really great for those with diabetes to help with blood sugar regulation too. So it helps with weight loss and anything related to helps address any issues that are metabolically related. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I lost my spot here. I want to make sure I touch on all of these. DDR Prime. I talked about this in a video last month. So DDR Prime is a really great, it's an oil blend, but there's another word for it. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the technical term is. But DDR Prime aids in processing relationship patterns. So I'm trying to see if somebody's coming in. They're grilling, so maybe it's somebody going out the back door. See, there's my ADHD kicking in. I need my vitamin right now. So DDR Prime is great in addressing relationship patterns. So breaking up those dysfunctions, it can be really helpful to use as you're working through some relationship work, either with a spouse, a friend, working through it for yourself or with them. You can use it if you're talking to a therapist and that type of thing as you're going through that process, because that's really tough work. And then, where's my note here? I I was going to say more on Slim and Sassy, but that's okay. I touched on everything, I think. The next one is Zendocrine. The Zendocrine blend can be used when feeling stuck. So obviously self-sabotage. You're feeling stuck and you're not moving forward. You want to get beyond stuck, obviously, so that you're living a happier, fuller life. So to use Zendocrine, you can use it aromatically, or you can use it topically over the abdomen, or taken internally to support letting go of the past and creating room for the new. So as we start the new year, I know it's already March, but Zendocrine's a great one to get going on those new goals for this year, for 2019. It has tangerine, rosemary, geranium, juniper, berry, and cilantro in it, and it is designed to cleanse the organs and systems of the body. Emotionally, this blend assists during times of transition and change. So it's a really great one for that. The next one I'm going to talk about is Blue Tansy. And so Blue Tansy, the recommendation for it, is to diffuse it. So you can use it aromatically or topically, and you can apply it to the rim of your ears to calm nervousness, and over the heart and low back to encourage forgiveness and release of past mistakes and traumas. So when you're dealing with self-sabotage, obviously you've probably been there before. Most of us have. I mean, change doesn't usually happen immediately. It's usually a process. You learn from your mistakes and you're ready to move forward. So Blue Tansy can really help with that process, with going back and using reflection to be like, okay, what can I learn from this? What have I gained? Instead of setting yourself back and just chalking it up to, I'm not going to change, I'm stuck here. Getting your Zendocrine, getting past that stuck feeling, and using your Blue Tansy to get past any traumas or mistakes that are really holding you back, so you can move forward and have a better life. So when I mention Blue Tansy, I also want to mention that it's one of the ingredients in the Deep Blue oils, and I could talk for a while on Deep Blue, but I won't say a whole lot for sake of time. I want to keep this short and sweet. So Deep Blue is actually available this month, free, in both, and so you get the rub, which is, I think it's 4 fluid ounces, and you also get a 5 milliliter bottle of oil if you place a $200 order. So it's a really good deal because both last you a long time, and they're pretty amazing. They are amazing, not pretty amazing, but they help ease physical pain that is often being held within the body due to unreleased or unresolved emotional pain. So I just attended a trauma recovery yoga training and learned a lot more about how the brain, all of the brain science that works with our emotional and physical pain. So many of us find that we carry a lot of tension in our neck or shoulders, our backs, stomach issues, knee pain, migraines, tons of autoimmune issues. A lot of time, all that is, and I say that, all that is, not to minimize, but it's not necessarily that your body's just hurting and sore. There's something deeper there. And the brain science just is mind-blowing to me on all the solutions they've found to address this. So if you're feeling that emotional pain and it's a consistent thing, and you don't have a physical injury that you've incurred, it probably, and even if you have incurred a physical injury that you know has caused it, there's probably some emotional stuff with those injuries. If you were in a car accident or something, there's probably some trauma there too. But a lot of times it's emotional stuff you haven't worked through. Whether it was child abuse or a really awful breakup or domestic violence that has happened in a marriage or from your parents, you witnessed something violent, or grief and loss, and you haven't worked through it, loss of a child, loss of a job, any of those things, you can really, 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 yes, carrying the weight of the world. Yes, absolutely, Michelle. So Deep Blue can really work fantastic in addressing that physical pain that you're dealing with that probably is the result of some emotional pain. So keep that in mind when you're working through some of those behaviors that you're really trying to reduce in your life and avoid the self-sabotaging behavior. I wanted to mention one more thing real quick. 2 of my favorite oils that I carry and use often with my clients that a lot of these are in. A lot of the oils I discussed today are in these blends, but there's 2 oils that I really like that are in the emotional aromatherapy kit, and those are Motivate and Cheer. And Motivate and Cheer, but Motivate and Passion. So once you get to the root of some of these things and start working on them, I highly encourage you to carry some of those emotional aromatherapy oils, because they are so nice, especially in the roller form, to just roll on as you're moving forward and launching yourself into a purpose-driven, more happy, joy-filled life, I like to say. Passion just, they smell so good. Passion and Motivate especially. But Passion helps you get back that love for life and encourages you to just be happy with what you're doing. You know, go for those goals you have. Find the job that you've always wanted to do and go for it. But Motivate too. It's got some citrus oils in it. So the citrus oils are really great for uplifting your mood. And yeah, they just smell really good. So they're great to carry with you and have on hand if you don't have all of the others to make up your own blend. So just wanted to mention that too. So that's all I have for tonight. I'm going to be a constant work in progress as far as self-sabotage goes myself, but I've learned so much, and now that I have the tools of my oils, I would never go back. I love what I've gained, and having the tools in my home to not only address my own emotional stuff, but my kiddos when they're having a hard time, homework, bedtime, when we're dealing with patterns of behavior that aren't functioning well, and also in my therapy practice. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. I will check back periodically over the next 2 days or so. So if any questions pop up, I can respond in a private message, or I can respond in the comment section here. Thanks, Jennifer, for letting me do this. It was fun. All right. Bye, guys.